Well, another mine dam wall has collapsed at the troubled Jagersfontein Mine in the Free State. Kopanong Mayor Xolani Tseletsele says that the situation could have been as a result of heavy downpours in the area yesterday. Water from the dam is flowing through the neighbourhood of Charlesville and a nearby farm. The R706 near Charlesville has been closed, and motorists are advised to use an alternative gravel road to Fauresmith in order to get access to Jagersfontein. 2 weeks ago, another mine dam wall collapsed, leaving a trail of destruction in the area. Let's take you now to Ishmael Bdiba, who is watching the events on the ground. Ishmael, a very good morning to you. What have you seen so far?
Well, the situation at this stage is such that the mopping operation is continuing at the site where the mine dam wall has collapsed due to heavy raining that has been experienced here over the past 2 days. So what is happening on that particular side of the road is they've got a pump sludge where they are pumping the sludge into the trucks and taking the sludge to dump it far away so that they clear the road next to the mine dam wall. And that is the situation. Here where I am, just before you came on earlier on, the K9 unit of the police were still busy with search and rescue. As you remember that since this incident happened over 2 weeks ago, one person was buried over the weekend and 2 people remain missing. And so those are the 2 people that can be confirmed that are missing, and the search and rescue by the K9 police are still ongoing in this particular area to make sure that they find the remains if there's anything that they can find. But here we are. I'm just going to ask my colleague Tepo Mime just to pan on my left-hand side to show you some of the debris that is on this particular area that has been moved by the heavy sludge that was experienced here. Anything and everything that you can think of, it's here. I mean, I'm talking about the roofing of the housing, the walls, and a lot can be found here to show you the magnitude, the magnitude and the force of how this thing happened. It shows the devastation that the people of Jagersfontein have experienced on that particular Sunday, and they happened.
The connection to that interview not very stable, but let's take you to this interview that we did earlier on the very same story.
We currently have a team on the ground comprising of officials from the Department of Fisheries, Forestry and Environment, Department of Water and Sanitation, and officials from our department who are basically there to assess that which was reported last night, and they will be updating the reports as the day progresses.
And just in terms of do we know if there are any casualties? How many people are affected by the latest wall collapse?
What happened last night is there's another dam adjacent to what we call the TSF, the slime dam. It was a reservoir for fresh water which was used in that operation. I think there was an overflow on that dam which did not pose any threat to life or property. But we are informed by engineers on the ground that they have been able to put up some barriers. Currently, the assessment is that there's no immediate threat. But I can understand that when people saw the water flowing from the same direction, it's understandable that based on what had happened on the 11th of September, there will necessarily be the panic that we saw and some panic that is caused by messages that spread across social media platforms. But the situation is being dealt with. As you saw in the pictures, the the sludge that is on the ground is being pumped and dumped at the designated area. The roads are being cleared, so that cleanup and mop-up operation is continuing, because these are the directives that we and the Department of Water and Sanitation gave to Jagersfontein,
you're giving,
which is a company that is operating that property.
and thanks for the detail you're giving just in terms of what is being done. But one assumes that you'd already have started some level of work from the 11th of September. Just give us an update just in terms of what has been done since then and what challenges you're facing and what wins are you gaining?
Yeah, what the plan is as follows: is just the company is going to be putting up retaining walls. As you can understand from the area and the direction where the dam wall had collapsed, it's important to put up barriers there as we enter the rainy season now. You don't want the remaining sludge on the ground to start flowing into the water courses. So that's the first part. And then the second part that is being done, and I think they started about on a Monday or Tuesday thereafter, because other areas were difficult to access due to the depth of the sludge, is the removal of the sludge from the preferential flow paths. We don't want the sludge to continue downstream in the nearby rivers. And the next part is the path towards the water works, wastewater treatment works, which was inundated when the dam broke. The path has been cleared so that work can commence on refurbishing that treatment plant. Clearing of roads. After this incident happened, Jagersfontein was inaccessible. But our Department of Police, Roads and Transport, together with Jagersfontein Developments, have been working on clearing the sludge on the road so that roads can be accessible. As you can see now, Jagersfontein is now accessible. And the biggest wins now is that electricity has been restored to the part of the town. Water is now available. The challenge is still on the other side of the town, which is another settlement called Charlesville, where there was major damage, and we are hard at work to make sure that electricity is restored in that area. And lastly, work is going to begin, as announced, to make sure that people are resettled, houses are built, and those that are partially damaged should be refurbished soon.
Well, that was Dr. Mbulelo Nokweku, the head of the Department of Economic, Small Business Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs in the Free State. They're responding to the second mine dam wall collapsing at the troubled Jagersfontein Mine in the Free State. Kopanong Mayor Xolani Tseletsele says the situation could have been as a result of heavy downpours in the area yesterday. Let's go back to our reporter, Ishmael Mudiba, who's standing by, hoping sound will be a little bit better this time. Ishmael, I'm hoping the sound is better with you. Have you spoken to community members? I mean, how are they feeling now that we've seen yet another mine dam wall collapse?
Well, at this stage, we have not spoken to members of the community because we were still on the other side where the sludge was being pumped into the trucks. And now from that side, we move to the other side. So from here, we still have to speak to the members of the community just to hear their fears, their frustration and the anxiety. Because you remember that yesterday, after the rainfall, which apparently caused the second dam burst, they wanted to take their frustration to the road and go and protest and close some of the main road leading into the town. But with the mayor and his entourage managed to calm them down to say this is not the situation of dealing with this the matter, because they've got a challenge, but they need to find an alternative way of dealing with the problem. But now the other side where we are is much better than the previous side where we are. I just want to show you the size of the sludge. where we are, because this is the size of the sludge, because where we were previously, we couldn't even walk properly, but this side we were able to come here and walk and walk and on the ground just to feel the remnants of what actually transpired here. So this is the situation with what has transpired. So that's how devastating the situation is. And some of the infrastructure and the cars that have been blown by the sludge over a week ago is still remaining on this other side of the road, just to show you how long it's going to take for the people of Jagersfontein to restore and restructure their lives. But we have heard over the weekend when one committee member was being buried, the Premier of the Free State, Mrs. Ntombela, made a commitment that by December, many of the people who have been affected should be back to their homes, because they have identified another area where new housing development should be created for those who have been affected, deeply affected by the recent incident.
There's certainly a lot for authorities to answer for in a situation like this, right? We can talk about the progress they've made in bringing them aid. You've touched on that a little bit. But what is it that authorities are essentially saying to us about how this happened once again, how they've been keeping a close eye on that derelict mine and what they're communicating to communities? I know you spoke to the mayor a little bit earlier.
Yeah, well, that's one of the difficult questions to answer, because remember the first week when we came here, that was the situation, because on the initial day when this happened on Sunday, 11th of September, various government departments that we spoke to would refer to one to another. I mean, for instance, the initial inquiry was that we wanted to speak to the Department of Mineral and Energy, and they themselves referred us to water and sanitation. And it's a bit of a dicey situation, because you don't know actually who should be blamed in this particular instance, but somebody should shoulder the blame on what transpired. And one of the important aspects in this matter is we need to hear the sound and the voice of the mine management. What are they saying? What sort of commitment, what sort of contingency plan are there to avert this kind of situation happening in the future? Because we are entering a very a season where we are still going to experience a lot of rains. So with those kind of rains that will be falling, anything can still happen with what transpired yesterday. I mean, they just had 2 days of rain. Imagine if they can, there would be a 5-day or 7-day rain in this particular side of town. What sort of damage or what sort of disaster would they incur? So those are some of the mitigating. Those are some of the questions that the mine management should look into, to say these are the temporary measures that we can put in place. So it's a bit of a catch-22 situation with the kind of weather that we'll be experiencing any time from now.